Hi kids, well I'm sure you guessed, well I hope you have, that our topic this week is dogs. And we love dogs, don't we? And dogs come in all shapes and colors and sizes. You get tiny little ones that people carry around on their arm, or they put it in a bag, or they take it in their car. Or you get huge big dogs that you could almost put a saddle on. They are that big. And dogs are so smart. They can be trained to do almost anything. From police dogs who are so disciplined and so obedient, to amazing guide dogs for the blind who help the blind to see by guiding them where they can walk. Dogs can help the elderly, and dogs can protect our property. Dogs are amazing, and they can be the best friends that we will find. Dogs love children, or most dogs love children, and they really are fun to be around, and they really want to be where we are. Now, dogs have three amazing qualities. They are very loyal, they are faithful, and they are very forgiving. Even when sometimes we don't treat them like we should, dogs will forgive us and just come back and be with us and love us anyway. It's no wonder that dogs are called man's best friend. Those three qualities, being faithful, being loyal, and being forgiving, are the three qualities that make up being a friend. In fact, Solomon described friendship like this. You're going to find it in Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17. And he said, "A friend is loving at all times." Now think about that, children. All times. That doesn't mean when your friend's nice to you, you're loving. It doesn't mean when you're feeling great, you're loving. It says at all times. A friend is loving at all times. And then it continues and it says, "and becomes a brother in times of trouble." Now we know, don't we, that our family, our brothers, our sisters, our moms and dads probably see the best of us and the worst of us. They see us when we're grumpy. They see us when we're hungry and we're tired and we're worried and we're fed up, and we can be mean and puffy to our family. But when we're out there, our family love us, and they will have our back and they will protect us. Whether we're grumpy or not, our brother or sister will love us. And that's what this is saying, that a real friend will love us at all times, and in times of trouble will hold our back, will be with us just like a brother is. Now Solomon, who wrote Proverbs, knows what he's talking about with friendship, because his father David had one of the best friendships in the whole Bible. Now David was anointed, just before he was anointed to be the next king of Israel. Remember, he was anointed whilst he was still in the fields with the sheep. It was quite a while before he became king, and just around that time, just after he was anointed to be king, he went out and he fought and he killed Goliath. And he became a national hero. And the king at the time, King Saul, was amazed at the bravery and the courage of this young boy who really just tended sheep. And King Saul invited him to come into his palace and be with his family. And that's where David met Saul's son, Jonathan. They were a similar age. They both then were fighting in the Israelite army, and they became best friends. They absolutely were inseparable. But something happened that came to test their friendship. Because if you remember the story, David became so popular. He was an amazing soldier and fighter, and he became more and more popular. The people loved him. And as he became more popular, do you remember, King Saul became more and more jealous. He was enraged with jealousy. And he began to think that David was going to come and take his throne and kick him off and make himself king. And he set out to get rid of David. Now that really is something that could have ruined David and Jonathan's friendship, couldn't it? Because let's be honest, Jonathan, as King Saul's son, was the heir to the throne. He was due to be the next king. And it seemed to be quite clear that David would probably have that position. But Jonathan put his friendship with David, and he put what God wanted above his own ambition. And he chose to support his friend. Amazingly, he never betrayed David. You know, Saul planned and schemed how to kill David, and Jonathan got word of one of the plans, and he ran to tell David, and he helped him hide, and he helped him to get away. He never betrayed his friend to his father. Jonathan was very loyal to his friend. Now, another quality that we learn about David and Jonathan's friendship is called faithfulness. After Saul and Jonathan died and David did become king, David never forgot his friend. He had promised Jonathan that if anything happened to him, David would look after any of his children. And then it came to his attention that Jonathan had a son, and his son was actually disabled. And so David sent people to go and find the son, and he brought the son of Jonathan into his palace, into his home, and he raised him as his own son. Now, Jonathan was dead. He would never have known if David kept his promise. But David loved his friend, and he was faithful to do what he had promised, even though Jonathan would never know. The final thing that we learn about friendship from David and Jonathan is forgiveness. Now, Jonathan could have been very angry and very jealous that David had been anointed to be king and not him. He was the rightful heir to the throne. And David could have been really angry with Jonathan that his father was hunting him down and trying to kill him. But these two young men put all of that aside. They put their own selfishness aside. They put aside everything that was about them, and they thought of the other person. They thought about what God was doing and what God wanted for the other person, and they put them first. And that's an amazing quality and characteristic of their friendship, that there was huge forgiveness in their friendship. Now, children, as you grow up, you will be amazed at how people will let silly little arguments and petty jealousies and offense ruin a friendship. People get all caught up on, well, they did that, so I'm not going to be their friend anymore. And it's so difficult sometimes to admit that we've made a mistake. And it's also really quite difficult sometimes when someone's hurt us by making a mistake to forgive. But if we look at this friendship between these two men, we see loyalty, we see faithfulness, and we see forgiveness. And we see that they had a friendship that was strong and true. You know, dogs are called man's best friend for a really good reason. They show us what it is to be faithful. They show us what it is to be loyal, and they show us what it is to be forgiving. So this week, children, I really want you to take time to think about these three things. Think about this story of friendship and ask yourself, are you a loyal friend? Are you a faithful friend? And are you a forgiving friend? It's very easy to point fingers at other people and talk about your friends behind their back, or to not hold them accountable and say, you know, what you did wasn't good. That's what a real friend does. So look at the story. You'll find it in the book of Samuel chapter 20, 1 Samuel chapter 20, and look at this story of how, despite the circumstances, despite what was happening around them and what other things were going on, these two men were faithful to God and then to each other. All right, we've got a fun craft. This is a stretchy doggy. So you can have fun. We've put it on the parent group. You just need to print it out and cut it up, and you can have an expandable dog. He's got a little ear that can shake around, and just have a bit of fun with that. We'll put other activities on the group. All right, guys, have a great week, and really think about, are you a good friend?